Hey everybody, thanks for coming to another episode of the Brownie Bites. It is your favorite podcast on the internet. And today I have a very special guest. I have Walter from Walter Football. Say hello, my friend.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. It's going great. And I'm super stoked to have you on this. I was actually very surprised that you even responded. So clearly you're a very down to earth guy and you love to do things like this. So thanks a lot for that.
Yeah, I love talking football, and thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, so this is I was telling you earlier, this is kind of a part of a three-part series. You are going to be the third part. And, first, I guess, let's get started. I want, if people don't know who you are, and if they haven't gone to Walter Football yet, I mean, he was talking earlier, he gets about 300,000 people visiting. So I'm assuming somebody listening to this is actually going to your website. So how did you get your start? Tell me a little bit about you and kind of go from there and just talk a little Walter Football.
Well, we started in 1999, so it's going to be 20 years. It's going to be 20 years in November. It was a class project in my high school internet class, and we were
Nice.
told to make a website about something we like. And I was like, oh, I like football a lot, so I made a football website. And like back then, the URL was centralhigh.net/wcherub/football.html. But
Man, that is something that nobody would ever find at this point in SEO.
yeah, exactly. We had like 10 viewers every day, and like nine were me,
Yeah.
So in 2004, I bought my own domain, and then I went into journalism when I was at Penn State, and I wanted to,
Hey, man, we
get
are. I'm a big Penn State fan, bro.
nice. Yeah, I wanted to get into writing. I wanted to cover an NFL team or something, and I thought I could use my website as something on my resume. And then the traffic just increased, and all of a sudden, I got an ad offer to do it full time in 2007. I'm like, okay, I could do it full time. So I've been covering the NFL for almost 20 years on walterfootball.com, and we do everything. Like we do mock drafts, we do free agency grades, we do power rankings and picks during the season, fantasy football. So we do everything about football on the site.
No, yeah, it's definitely. And one of the things that I noticed too, it's free agency. It's even NBA. I mean, you got NBA stuff on there too. I mean, I don't know if you're trying to do a dabble in a side project, but I mean, hey, there you go. I don't know how long you've been doing that for, but it is pretty well rounded, and even the rumors and the things like that, the way that you kind of break it down, with the by team, by rumors. I mean, you guys are doing a lot of scavenging, to be able to find information for people to take on. And you mentioned Charlie earlier. I mean, is he your full-time partner, or I mean, how does that work with that relationship?
Yeah, Charlie Campbell is our senior NFL draft analyst. He's been working full time for the site since 2011, since the lockout ended. And yeah, I was telling you off air that I've never seen anyone network like him. He talks, he
Yeah.
like seemingly knows everyone in the NFL. It's amazing. It's amazing how he does that, and he provides such great draft information. I think we were the past 2 years we were the most accurate in mock drafts, and that's all because of Charlie. Like it's all the information that he provides, and like he speaks to teams, and he kind of knows what teams are going to try to do. So yeah, he's great, and he's one of five employees we have on the site. So
It's really nice that you can actually talk about saying, I get paid to do this on a website like every day. Isn't that kind of crazy?
yeah, I never thought this would happen. When I started in my high school class, it
Yeah.
was fun, and I did it outside of class, and yeah, I mean, I never thought this would happen.
No, that's insane. Like, I mean, I do this for fun too. Not to say that I'm ever going to be, like dropping 300,000, hits on my podcast anytime soon. But it's just, I mean, you do it for fun. Then before you know it, you're like, oh my God, like this is actually a real job. Like, how crazy is that? Is that kind of a good or bad thing? I mean, you're probably like, oh man, it was a whole lot more fun when it wasn't a real job. I don't know.
It never feels like a job. Like it always
Right.
like when I got out of college, I worked at a mortgage company, this is miserable because
Oh
like
God, yeah.
and this is after the collapse, and like we had to turn
Right.
everyone down, and it was just miserable working there.
I bet.
But after I got home every day from this job, I worked on my website, like it was my
Right.
hobby. So it never feels like work, really.
No, that's so cool. No, I agree. I mean, even when I go to the site, like, I mean, it's there, I'm there perusing it for fun. I can imagine, God, that'd be so cool to like start writing up these, these player, evaluations for who's coming out in 2019. Like, how cool is that? I mean, do you guys get access to the combine and things like that too? I mean, is Charlie able to go to that and things like that?
Well, Charlie goes to the East West Shrine game and the Senior
Okay.
Bowl,
Okay.
but we are actually banned from the combine, so that's not possible at the moment.
Oh man. All right, you dropped a good nugget. Now I got to know.
Well, yeah. So we kept applying for the combine. We kept getting
Yeah,
rejected, and like
yeah,
websites with lesser traffic always got in.
yeah.
And we're like, why is this happening? And like,
Yeah.
so Charlie ended up talking to someone who works for the NFL Network, and yeah, he told us that Roger Goodell was not pleased that we were very critical of him, and so yeah, we're not
Oh,
allowed at the combine because of that.
it's funny how people with a big bunch of power think that they can just do whatever they want and just put a thumb under the. What a piece of shit. I'm just putting that out there, man. Like,
Well, now
wow,
you're banned from the combine too.
that's fine. You know what? I'm never going there anyway. So God bless you, Roger Goodell. But it's just, it's amazing how people do that. Like I work in real estate on the side as well, and I also, I mean, I have a full-time job in technology, which I I actually like it, but I just don't want to do it anymore. It's like not a passion of mine at all. But like, you know, people even in those small statures, like millionaires or whatever, they're doing real estate. They find it in their ways to be able to like eliminate you as a person, casually doing it like behind your back. And at least you got real life, like somebody said, listen, Roger Goodell just hates your guts. So deuces to you in the combine. So I'm at least proud for Roger Goodell or some representative for Roger Goodell, at least saying to your face, listen, he hates you, so deuces. It's not just, well, I'm not really sure, Walter, what's going on, man. I keep losing the contract. I know every time you send it in, it's too late on the deadline, stuff like that. Like that would annoy me. At least you got it straight. I like that.
Well, after a while, we got it straight. Like for a couple of years, we kept getting rejected for the combine. It didn't make any sense because we
Right.
knew of other websites, similar to ours, but with less traffic that would go,
Right.
and it didn't make any sense. And then it became clear that we weren't allowed because we were banned. But Charlie still goes to Indianapolis during the combine to just to talk to people. He doesn't go
Yeah.
inside the building, but
Yeah.
yeah, he gets a lot of useful information that way.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, hop in a hotel and I'm sure you'll probably be able to bump into, 15, 20 people in a restaurant at any point in time. Just have a chat.
Oh, absolutely. We go to the bars and like at night, NFL people are there and
Nice.
just strike up a conversation and yeah.
No, that's pretty crazy. Good learning a little bit about that. So I guess we should get in the nitty gritty of the Cleveland Browns, who now are apparently going to come out of the doldrums of the worst team in the NFL and now become like the NFL ticket and be on, I don't know, like 8 mainstream games this year or some crazy number. That's what they're talking about here. I'm like, you need to tone that down a little bit. Like if they get them like 4 this year, I'll be pleased, but they have to start winning a little more. And I know, listen, I'm on the train. I love Baker Mayfield. It was an amazing pick last year. And I guess we'll kind of, start there, which is that last year's, draft class that the Browns had. I mean, what a killer draft that was. I mean, 3 or 4 starters out of that, except for, Austin Corbett, who now will be a starter this year. I mean, your assessment of that draft, John Dorsey, things like that.
Oh, and the draft class is awesome. At the time, I was a little critical. I like Baker Mayfield the most out of all the quarterbacks, but I thought
Yeah,
that
yeah,
I thought the Browns could get him at number 4 overall. So
yeah,
I thought that they should take Saquon Barkley 1 and then get Baker Mayfield 4.
right,
I didn't get the sense that the Giants are going to take a quarterback. They like Mayfield. They like Barkley all the way. And I thought
yeah,
if Barkley wasn't going to be there, I thought they'd take Bradley Chubb.
yeah,
So I didn't think the Browns would miss out on Mayfield, and if the Jets took Mayfield, then the Browns would get Sam Darnold. And I thought
right,
Darnold was my number 2 quarterback, so
right, right,
I thought going Barkley, Mayfield was the better move. But
right,
the way he turned out, you can't complain because Denzel Ward
right,
he's been amazing, and he's going to have a
yeah,
longer career than Barkley just based on the position he plays.
right.
So, and the draft class looks great. Mayfield Ward, and then Corbett's going to start this year. Nick Chubb, he's he's an amazing
Wow.
running back,
I
and
didn't
now you're
see
going to
that coming at all, man. I thought his legs were dead in his senior year of Georgia.
yeah, that's what I thought too. I like Sony Michelle more,
Yeah.
and Chubb's been great. And pairing him with Kareem Hunt's going to be outstanding.
Cool.
And yeah. Chad Thomas was the only whiff so far
Sure.
on the first 2 days of the draft, but he has a lot of potential, and
I agree.
he could be a good rotational player for them down the road. Then you have Antonio Callaway, who's he's got so much speed and he has a lot of
Yeah.
potential as well. Yeah, I'm excited to see what he can
Yep.
do.
Yeah.
And then the other significant pick, Jannard Avery, like he's
Yep.
I mean he played a lot last year, and for a 5th rounder, most 5th rounders don't make an NFL roster. So
Right.
I
Yeah,
thought
no,
that
it's pretty crazy. I mean, Jannard Avery was looking like that he could get anywhere between 8 and 10 sacks a year if they use him on a regular basis. Which they didn't. I mean, he played maybe 30% of the time. I bet. I'd have to look that up, but when he was on the field, you can clearly see he could do damage. I don't know how good he is in run defense at this point. I'd have to, Pro Football Focus or something would have to show something like that. But either way, I mean, and I guess getting into that, like some of the needs this year. I mean, one of the big blows, I guess, so far is they haven't really been able to get anybody from a linebacker perspective. But assuming then they think that Chad Thomas is going to be able to step in and take regular reps, on the other side where Jamie Collins was. Kirksey was hurt most of the last year, so you're not sure what he's going to do this year in 2019. And Joe Schobert is a pathetic tackler. He's a really great, guy when it comes to, pass defense. But man, oh man, I mean, how can he miss almost 30 tackles in a season on run plays? When I feel like it had to do with the fact that when he got hurt too with his hamstring, that he just never felt right after the fact to be able to move side to side. But this 2019 free agency class with Sheldon Richardson, the trade for Olivier Vernon, and now the trade for Odell Beckham. This is bananas, man. Like winners and losers, at least from 2019 outside of the Browns, and then we'll talk about what you think about the Browns. So who was kind of some winners from some other teams and some losers from other teams?
I thought the Packers did a good job. I mean, they got they got Adrian Amos from the Bears. Like any time you can steal a talented player from a rival, like that's huge. And obviously they lost the division to the Bears last year, so getting Amos I thought was huge. And then they got the two pass rushers, Darius Smith and Preston Smith. So the defense obviously was a big weakness for them, and it seems like they've really improved in that regard. So I like what the Packers did. We're going to talk about the Browns. I like what the Browns did. You mentioned all their moves. I thought they did an outstanding job. And I would say the Jets are another team. Adding Le'Veon Bell to complement Sam Darnold. I mean, that's going to be outstanding.
So do you really think, I guess we'll talk about the Jets for a minute. Do you really think that Le'Veon Bell is going to still be the same guy that he was in Pittsburgh? I mean, maybe because he didn't have the full year, so now he's got a little extra run in his step, you know what I mean? He's not getting beat up for an entire year. I mean, is that why you feel like he's probably going to do well in New York? Or because the Jets are as bad or worse than what the Browns have been in the past, 15 years too. So, I mean, I don't know. They have literally no wide receivers as far as I can tell. I mean, who's Anderson's or Robbie Anderson's probably the best guy at this point. I mean,
and they signed Jamison Crowder too. And I like Crowder. The problem with him is he always gets injured. So if he can stay healthy, I think they have a good duo. And I assume that they're going to draft a receiver. Sure. I do like the Jets this year. I think they have a chance to make the playoffs.
Really?
I think Sam Darnold's going to take a big leap forward.
Okay.
And their defense looks. I like their defense a lot. I like the coaching hire, Adam Gase. For all the flack he took, I think he did a good job in Miami. Like he took the Dolphins to the playoffs with Ryan Tannehill and Matt Moore, and then last year he had him in contention. I thought they had one of the worst rosters in the NFL, and yet after losing Ndamukong Suh, he had him in contention toward the end. And I like Gase. I think he's going to develop Darnold pretty well. And to answer your question before, I don't think Le'Veon Bell is going to be like 100% of what he was in Pittsburgh. Right. But the fact that he had a year off and his legs are going to be fresh, I think he might be like 90-95% of what he was, at least in like year one and year two with the Jets. And I just like that team. I think that team is really going to surprise a lot of people this year.
No, and as a side note, the Jets are actually my second favorite team. Like I loved Little Sisters of the Poor. I loved the Browns, who were awful, and I loved the Jets, who were awful. And it was all because of Fireman Ed. Like I don't know why it was, but when they started doing the JETS, I was just like, yeah, this is great. You guys suck, but this is awesome. But anywho, so talk about the Browns move. I mean, obviously defensive line was a massive gap for them last year. I mean, Agua could never get to the quarterback. You had Ogunjobi who could, but run defense wise wasn't the best in the world. Had nobody next to him, and then Myles Garrett was the only one doing damage. But with nobody else doing anything, they were just double teaming him constantly. I mean, it was like sometimes even triple teaming. We have season tickets, and I swear I'd see that guy getting hit by three people. So Sheldon Richardson is an I think a massive upgrade is going to help Ogunjobi. And then Olivier Vernon playing out of position, now playing in position. I think that's going to be pretty terrific. I mean, what do you think about at least some of those moves and even some of the smaller ones? I mean, I think even Philip Gaines coming back for a 1 year deal is a great deal. As long as he can stay healthy, he played pretty well. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I love their moves. Trading Kevin Zeitler, I thought, for Olivier Vernon.
Yeah,
I didn't like giving Zeitler up. He's one of the best guards in the NFL.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but Vernon is going to make Myles Garrett a lot better because
yeah.
all of a sudden you can't double team Garrett in every play, and if you do, like Vernon is just going to go nuts. And
Maul you. Yeah,
Right, Sheldon Richardson too. They you could argue they have the best defensive line in the NFL.
yeah,
Like they're at least top five. They're definitely top five, maybe top three, and
yeah.
probably maybe number one. And so they're going to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback this year. They're going to stop the run well. Ogunjobi is very underrated too. So
Sure.
that quartet is awesome. And yeah, I agree. Getting Gaines back is nice. And yeah, it seems like the roster's really come together. I like the Browns a lot this year. I think the only concern I have, and I talked to a Browns fan a few days ago who kind of alleviated this, is that there might be the expectations might be too high all of a
Yep.
sudden, and I hate teams that don't have success and have high expectations. Like
Yep.
the 2011 Eagles come to mind, like they were the dream team even though they hadn't made the playoffs the
Yeah.
year before. The Browns kind of reminded me of that because they have so much hype going on. But then,
Yeah.
like I said, I talked to my friend who's a Browns fan, and he said, "Listen, we've had no success at all since we came back in the
Yeah, I
NFL.
think
Like,
we were talking about this earlier. Like, oh no, man, I don't know if this is good.
right? He's like, people are going to be maybe optimistic, but cautiously optimistic at the same time. So like expectations might not be as high as they might be for another team in the same circumstance. So, yeah, I love what the Browns have done this offseason. They're definitely one of the winners.
Well, and but along the lines of cautious optimism, if you listen to talk radio here, this is not. I know they're trying to get clicks. I know they're trying to get more people to listen and things like that. But you would think we're going to the friggin' Super Bowl this year. I mean, I'm very bullish. I was very bullish on Baker Mayfield last year. My friend Rick hated my guts for even saying they were going to take Baker. I was saying they were taking Baker Mayfield in like December, and like they're like, you're crazy. I'm like, no, I'm serious. It's going to happen. I also said too, I'm like, don't be surprised if they take Denzel Ward because not only has he got great speed, he's got the length that they need at that position that they haven't had since maybe Joe Hayden's for rookie season. So they had nobody to shut anybody down in that division. You have to I mean, even look at Cincinnati. Even though they suck, they still got AJ Green. So it's one of those things where if you don't have at least one, you're kind of screwed. So overall, I agree. I think there's like when you look at safety now with losing Jabril Peppers, I mean, he really came on pretty strong at the end of the season. So I think there's still a definite hole right now or a question mark, I guess, if you look at where safety's at, which even last year, I never thought that Demarius Randall was going to turn into a possible Pro Bowl alternate, free safety. Like I didn't see that coming at all. So, I mean, Derek Kindred's basically the backup to, Jabril Peppers. So, I mean, while he hits like a freight train, I have not yet to see him do any kind of coverage that made me wowed to say, boy, I can't wait for this guy to start. So, I mean, they still have some question marks a little bit at corner because if Terrence Mitchell can't stay healthy, when he didn't stay healthy last year, you could clearly see a hole on the other side. I mean, no offense to TJ Carey, but he just can't hold a candle to Terrence Mitchell. So I agree with what the things you said. I definitely think they're a winner. I definitely think that they have done great things the past 2 years when it comes to, free agency. Now my biggest concern is don't turn into Kansas City like you did John Dorsey because you basically screwed their cap up for good for the next 5 years because of all the things that you did. And now you're going to have to try to keep Pat Mahomes at some ungodly high NFL number whenever he actually gets an extension. So
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest contract we've ever seen in the NFL.
it's going to be unbelievable. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he made at least, dude, they're probably going to make 40 million a year. I mean, what's Drew Brees making right now? Like 32, 33, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and I trying to like think of what Mahomes' guarantee is going to be too. Like it's going to be insane.
If Kirk Cousins is getting a fully guaranteed
Right.
contract, there's no way that Pat Mahomes isn't getting at least 100 mil guaranteed.
Yeah, Cousins might have set the market for that, and that was a big mistake by the Vikings. I think.
Oh Man, that was a horrible mistake. I like Kirk Cousins. I think he brings a lot of good things, but unless you put some serious studs around that guy, I mean, I feel like his fourth quarter, like quarterbacking, is about as bad as Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, it's just terrible. Like he just melts down in every fourth quarter. It's like, whoa, where did the guy that 5 touchdowns before? Like, what happened here?
Yeah, it's not just the fourth quarter too. It's like whenever he plays a good team or a great team, he just melts down, especially late in the year. Like week 17, he's going to choke. I
Isn't that
thought that
crazy?
was I thought that was so obvious week 17 last year when they were playing the Bears and the Bears didn't really need that game. When once the Rams got out to a big lead,
Yeah.
I thought the Vikings were going to lose that game. I didn't like going into the week. I thought with all the pressure on Cousins, like he was going to melt down.
And he looked awful. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you're right. It's, now that I think about it, just about any game where you had a playoff team, that guy melts down. I mean, he looked awful against the Bears this year. And now, granted, the Bears defense with Khalil Mack, which I was begging hard for the Browns to use that first round pick this year on, Khalil Mack. But I guess we'll just segue into the other reason for the first round pick, which I honestly didn't. I had no idea this. I thought it might. I mean, I gave it about a 10% chance that this trade was going to happen because nobody of that magnitude ever moves a team that is even non-quarterbacks. Like, I mean, this guy isn't. He's been an All-Pro since he started. I mean, the one catch where he caught that one-handed. I mean, put him on the map as, listen, dude, you're a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, not named Antonio Brown or maybe DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, do you have any insight from anybody that has talked to you about how this trade even happened? And honestly, how the hell did it even happen? And I mean, this is crazy. And I honestly think it was for pennies. A first round pick, Jabril Peppers, and a third round pick. Like, you got to be kidding me right now. That's nothing for that guy.
I agree. I mean, he's worth a lot more than that. I thought they needed to get 2 firsts and Peppers. Like for them for that to be even. I don't have any insight as to what happened with
Yeah.
Beckham and yeah, you're right. Like usually you don't see players of this magnitude move. If you do,
Right.
they're usually like veterans like Antonio Brown who are going to be on the downside of their career. Like
Right.
Odell
Right.
Beckham's still in his mid 20s. Like he's gonna
That's unbelievable.
yeah, he's going to be great for a long time, and to get him for this cheap of a price is just unreal. I thought it's an absolute steal for the Browns, and Giants fans they're upset and they have every right
I
to be.
bet.
I actually think Gettleman's a good GM. Like outside of this trade, I thought he's done good things over
Right.
the years with Carolina and then with the Giants last year. But this move, I don't understand. Uh, like this trade broke as we were doing a podcast of our own on our
Yeah.
website, and
Yeah.
so we were doing a mock draft podcast, and we actually got to the Browns pick, and we had to switch to the Giants. So we actually we were talking about this live on the podcast, and we're like, the only way this makes sense is if something weird happened in the locker room with the Giants
Right.
that we just don't know about with Beckham, like
Right.
maybe. I couldn't even like imagine like what he could have done.
Right.
Like what he do? Like beat up a coach or something? Like I don't know what could have happened. So yeah, it's a steal for the Browns for sure.
And he just doesn't strike me as a locker room issue. I mean, from all accounts, he's a great teammate. He's a good human being. He gives a lot of money to charities. I mean, he goes out of his way to do these types of things. I mean, he acknowledges like friends on Twitter. Like almost nobody does that, especially NFL people. Like I mean, he gave that information recently. To somebody in NFL.com. Just because they're friends. Like almost never do you see like media people like, oh, I love this guy. This guy's great. Media is almost hated at this point now because we chastise them all the time. So it was insane to think like, my God, like when this broke, I was on the phone with my buddy Rick and I'm like, oh my God, this can't be real. Like I thought I was being like fished or something like that, catfished, man. I'm like, nah, man, this is weird. This doesn't happen to the Browns. So we're all just in a little bit of shock, I guess in the area because we don't, even as a season ticket holder, like we don't know what it's like to actually see that kind of talent on a field. So that's why we're sort of like, I think the basking in the glow. It's like the after sex moment, like, oh man, this is amazing, and like that's sort of where we're at in Cleveland. And I have been probably one of the only people saying you guys need to calm down a little bit because if this team goes 8-8 next year, you would think they'll burn this place down, and they're going to burn this place down if they make they make it to the Super Bowl or something like that. Cleveland may never exist after that. I think they'll burn every building down. It'll be insane. But like, I also think the same thing about Gettleman as well. I mean, he's stuck to his guns even with Eli Manning, and he just hasn't picked a crappy quarterback that he didn't feel was comfortable. And honestly, if Eli Manning had better talent, which is why I'm so surprised that they got rid of, Odell Beckham for as little as they did. I mean, granted, they lost Landon Collins, but I think it's a stretch to be like, hey, man, Jabril Peppers is going to be Landon Collins.
No, definitely not. No,
yeah.
He's definitely a step down. I like Peppers, but Landon Collins is one of the top safeties in the NFL.
I mean, no doubt. I still feel like he got overpaid. That's way too much. And speaking of the Redskins, we were talking about this and I mean, they're not even talking to Gruden now about any of the moves. They're just like, screw you, buddy. We're just going to do whatever we want here. Like, how insane of an organization is that? And it's not, what's really nice to even say that is because the Browns have been, again, such a terribly run organization. It's almost amazing to us to even say, hey, man, look at those crappy guys over there in Washington. They're even worse than us. Unbelievable. But Washington is a shit show, man.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, too, like they have some issues at quarterback, obviously, with Alex Smith.
Yeah.
But remember,
so you think he's ever going to play again?
I doubt it. I don't think he will. But like, remember last year they were 6-2 with Alex Smith.
Yeah,
they look like pretty good. And for all the flack that the Redskins get, I think not enough people give him credit for not paying Kirk Cousins because there was so much media. So much media pushback on like, why are you not paying Cousins? You have to pay Kirk Cousins, and they didn't. And like, to their credit, they didn't get stuck with that horrible contract. So like, they, even though they've made some moves that I don't agree with, and you're right to criticize them. The fact that they're not stricken with that bad contract at least gives them some chance to recover and like be good in the future. Like they got Case Keenum, and like Keenum is obviously not a good quarterback, but they're in a position where they can draft a quarterback in 2020 in that great quarterback class that they're going to have. So I think the Redskins are, in a position to maybe be a good team in the near future, whereas, the Vikings, I think they're going to keep declining with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. I mean, but I tell you what, bringing on that Landon Collins contract, that's going to hurt, man. Yeah. That's a lot of guaranteed money for a safety.
Yeah, I will not pay a safety that much money, especially when you can get a better safety. I think like the Packers got Amos for much cheaper than that. And
oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, why you couldn't wait a couple of days to get a better safety. I just don't agree. Like what they did with Collins.
Yeah, I think they're gonna get into year 3 and be like, how fast can we move this guy? And he's still young, so it's good. He's in his prime, so he's going to be a great player. I think you're going to get a good player, but at the same time too, though, man, that is an ungodly amount for a dude that plays half the time on the other side of the ball, and just while he makes impact plays, it's still not the guy. He's not a quarterback. You know what I mean? Right. He's not a wide receiver that really impacts the game way more than, say, a safety would. He's not Troy Polamalu. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I agree. I like I said, paying safety this much money just doesn't make sense right now in the NFL. There are a lot of good safeties out there, Well,
no, totally. I mean, you mentioned something about the 2020 class. Is that because Herbert's in it? Is that the reason why?
Well, you have Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, you're right.
There's tank for Tua. That's what the Dolphins apparently are doing. And then you have Jake Fromm. And then Jacob Eason, who knows what he's going to do in Washington. So this 2020 quarterback class might have 4 first-round picks, and then you have Trevor Lawrence in 2021. So the next two quarterback classes are going to be really good, much better than this one at least.
Yeah, I forgot about Tua Vailoa. I mean, I'm so focused on 19 right now. You guys are like, yeah, 20 and 21. Let's do this.
Yeah, we have 2021 mock drafts on the site.
I was going to say, yeah, it's like you guys always do that, ahead of schedule mock drafts. It's kind of nice when I don't see the Cleveland Browns in the top 5 anymore. They're like, oh, man, they're like at 20 right now. Like, oh, great. Like, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, we have. I'm looking at 2021. We have Cleveland at 23. So
that's
even
nice.
Though that's a random order, but still, it's more realistic than what we've had in the past.
I know you've had it anywhere between 1 and 8.
Yeah, exactly.
So, now that Cleveland doesn't have a first round pick, I still want to talk about like your people to watch within that first round. And honestly, it's clear that this is a defensive centric draft. I mean, I have not seen so many stud like linemen come out of a draft. And I mean, even the linebackers, boy, what's his name from Michigan blew away numbers. I mean, holy cow. Like that as a linebacker, and we got Gray along with that. In fact, I thought that Gray didn't do as much or Gary didn't do as much in Michigan as I thought he would, based on the status that he had. But he's still going to go possibly in like the top 10. I mean, who you got as far as like you need to look at these or some sleepers coming into this draft?
Well, some sleepers. I think the Browns are in a good spot here. In the
Sure.
second round. I don't. In the first round, this is not a good. This is not a top heavy class. The teams Charlie spoke to said that there are about 20 first round caliber prospects in this class. So
Okay.
you're gonna have a bunch of second round prospects going late in round one. So it's not
Sure.
very good. You've had some injuries. People you didn't expect went back, like Raekwon Davis and
Right.
Derek Brown, and also Justin Herbert, as you mentioned. So like
Yeah.
a lot of guys went into the 2020 class. So this class is not deep, but like I think the second round is where you want to be really in terms of value, and
Okay.
there are going to be a lot of good cornerbacks in the second round. And you mentioned the cornerback being a need opposite of Ward. You can find a decent corner in the second round.
Sure.
Whereas in the first round, it's possible that there might not be a first round cornerback taken in this
Right.
class,
It's
which is
relatively
weird.
weak for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the worst corner classes I've seen in my 20 years of covering the website. It's pretty
Wow.
bad, but there are going to be like six, seven, maybe eight cornerbacks taken in the second round, and I think those guys in terms of value is like it's pretty solid there.
So I also think too, linebacker for the Browns
Yeah.
is something of need. I mean, I've not kept up with how many, excellent linebackers there are, but, besides dude from Michigan who just absolutely destroyed the combine, like that 4.4 speed or 4.5 speed of his at linebacker, that'd be lovely, in the middle of the Browns defense. But linebacker, safety, clearly at this point now. I would even throw tight end in for the Browns because I love Njoku, but I don't think they have anybody to actually pair with him whatsoever, or a blocking type tight end at all, like that can possibly catch the ball. I mean, look at even Rob Gronkowski at this point in his career. Now he can't run barely at all. Like, I'm surprised he actually hasn't come out yet and said, "Hey, I'm going to retire." Like, I thought he was going to, take a few days. I mean, I think he's going to wait until actually OTAs start or something like that, man. So as far as linebacker, possibly a safety, clearly with losing Jabril Peppers, what does that look like in the later rounds, between second and four, for anybody the Browns might be able to choose?
Yeah, I feel like it's the same thing as corner. There are a lot of
Mm.
good safety and linebackers. The linebacker class is definitely better than the safety and corner. Like you're going to have two linebackers for sure go in the first round. You mentioned Devin Bush from Michigan.
Yeah.
You also have Devin White from LSU. Like
Yep.
those two guys are studs. White's going to be a top 10 pick. Bush, I don't think he makes it past Pittsburgh at 20. He might not be
Yeah.
there for Pittsburgh at 20, but we'll see.
Which would suck. God damn it. Another linebacker in Pittsburgh. Enough with this.
Yeah, I mean they need to replace Ryan Shazier, so I mean that would be a great pick for them if
Sure.
he's there. But yeah, you have several good second round linebackers. I feel like with Jermaine Pratt, Voshan Joseph, DeAndre Walker, Mac Wilson, like Blake Cashman. He's probably like a third rounder. Trey Lamar, a third rounder.
Sure.
Like these guys are going to be available for the Browns on day two, and I think they can fill a need that way. And then safety is like the same thing, like Juan Thornhill. I think Jonathan Abrams is probably going to go. I would say late first, early second. So I don't think the Browns can get him
Sure.
unless they trade up. But there are a bunch of other good safeties like Darnell Savage. I mentioned Thornhill.
Yeah.
Chauncey Gardner Johnson. Like there are a bunch of decent safeties in day two. So
That's good.
the Browns can fill their need on the second day of the draft.
No, and but let's say, for instance, let's play fun draft. When we can do whatever we want at this point. We're not actually the general manager, but what is the likelihood that they could possibly move back into the first round for a guy like a Devin Bush or something like that?
I think to get Devin Bush, you'd have to move past Pittsburgh at 20, and so that'd be pretty difficult, I think, because they lost their third rounder to the Giants as well.
Yeah,
So like I don't know if they had the ammunition to really move up like that. It would be really tough. I think they'd have to give up a 2020 first rounder to move up past 20, which yeah, I wouldn't do because the 2020 class looks amazing. So
sure.
I would just hang tight. There are good values in the second round of the draft. I would just stay there. In fact, I think the Browns should probably move down, get some more picks, because I don't think the guys you get in round two are going to be much different than the guys you can get in round three. So
Okay.
I think trading down and maybe getting like a second or third, probably a third next year as well. Like I would do that.
No, that sounds like a good idea. I have no problem with that at this point. I mean, this is the first year that nobody's had the Super Bowl draft for the Browns because every year that's all we gave a shit about was like, hey man, let's look at Walter Football and see where they're at this time. Who they're gonna take number one? Who they gonna, you know what I mean? Like it's always been like let's get drunk on the draft because that's the only exciting thing that happens for the Browns throughout the entire season. So it's gonna be kind of nice if I happen to watch the draft this year casually to be like yeah, I don't really care. Like this is kind of nice. Like I don't even have to watch day one. I could just snooze through that and then just watch day two if I feel like it. Like it's kind of nice to
Yeah,
feel a little sense of love that we don't have to worry about the beautiful draft.
yeah. Tune in at like 9:30 Eastern on Friday night, and then you'll have your first pick. So
I know
uh,
it's good, dude. That's perfect. By that time, if I have my daughter, she's asleep. I could just kick my feet up and be like, "Yeah, let's have a beer now. This is amazing."
it's a different experience for sure.
It's. I don't think. I'm sure we're not going to be able to know what to do. You know what? Hey, damn, let's just make up fake drafts. Like, oh my God, they're going to trade back into the first round, which would be literally dumb. I mean, I asked the question just to be fun, but like, I don't think John Dorsey's a stupid fool to do something like that, unless he's. I mean, there is no receiver at this point that I think the Browns should ever go after, considering the talent they have already at that position with the trade of Odell Beckham. I could have considered that had they not made that trade. And poor Rashad Perryman, man, he had a pretty
Yeah.
crazy couple of days there for a minute.
Yeah, he did. And actually, before the trade, I had you guys taking AJ Brown out of Ole Miss, the
I did
receiver.
see that, and
Yeah,
I semi disagreed with you on that because I was like, I don't know, man. I just feel like I'd rather stick around with Brashad Perryman if he can play anywhere near what he did in the last 4 or 5 games. Plus, I mean, he was probably going to be cheaper than a first round pick. I mean, he was only going to make $4 million in 1 year. So, um, probably to commit. It's been really tough for me to watch committing to receivers in the past few drafts. They really haven't done anything. I mean, like, hasn't been like one of those guys like that's Odell Beckham or like a DeAndre Hopkins kind of guy. They're just been kind of ho hum, really. I mean, I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. It's been a while since we've had an elite receiver. I think that's going to change next year. The 2020 class is going to have
Sure.
two guys who can go in the top eight as
Oh, really?
receivers. So yeah, Jerry Judy from Alabama and Laviska Shenault from Colorado. Those
Okay.
those those two guys are studs, and yeah, they're gonna be great. So they're on the level of like Julio, AJ
I
Green,
was
like
just
like
about to
those
say
type of
Julio
guys.
Jones. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was, in my opinion, I feel like that was the last couple, like the AJ Greens and the Julio Joneses that like you just. I mean, shoot, we took Corey Coleman.
Yeah, it's bad.
When he was on, it was so funny when he was on Hard Knocks when he was talking about his shoe thing, and then they basically like, "You're out, bro." Oh man,
So
it was
bad.
so funny. Like when he walked into that room and he's like, "Why aren't I playing with the starters?" Well, because you're not even good enough to be on any team. That's why.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing right now? No, I didn't think so. Oh man, I hope you know what. Speaking of that, do you think that Hard Knocks would bring the Browns back this year, like a back to back, because of all the things they just done? I mean, literally, they're like, dude, this is like a saga now, man. We got a great reality story here in Cleveland. What do you think? You think they'd come back?
I don't see why not. I mean, there's a lot of hype with the Browns, so why
Right.
not? I think it'd be great. I would definitely tune in.
Totally. I mean, with all the new people coming in, I mean, you'd probably see the bromance between Landry and OBJ. I think it'd be great, man.
Yeah,
Anywho,
yeah.
well, dude, I really appreciate you coming on, man. So going to give you a few minutes to, pump your site, anything new that's coming, any events, any kind of podcasts that you talk about that you'd like to throw out there before we head out. So here's your time. Do your thing.
Yeah, we have 2019 NFL mock drafts from Charlie and I, and also 2020 and 2021 NFL mock drafts. So if you're looking to see who the Browns or anyone else is going to take in the next couple of years, we definitely have that. We have grades for every single free agency signing, like that's been significant, and also grades for all the trades. We have NFL picks and fantasy football during the season. So, like I said before, we cover everything in the NFL. So, and it's all free. You can just come to the site and read the information, see if you like it. It's walterfootball.com. We also have a podcast. We're on YouTube as well. Just search Walter Football. And yeah, it's like I said, we cover everything. So yeah, come check us out sometime.
No, that's great, man. And we were talking earlier offline. If you really want a good laugh, check out the Emmitt Smith drafts. They are without question the funniest thing I've ever read. I remember, when you were talking about how bad he was, and just the picks. Like sometimes he picks three guys of the same stature or the same thing, and you just change the names of them, which is even better. Like that's one of my favorite things to read. So check that out too, guys. So anyway, thanks a lot, Walter. I appreciate you coming on, man. Hopefully we do this a few more times, maybe before the season starts. And because I know probably as soon as it starts for you, it gets bananas. Like there's probably no way you'd be able to do something like this. So anyway, thanks a lot, bro. I really appreciate it. And have a good rest of your day.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right. Bye.